Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault, and today we have a monster review. Today we're going to talk to you about the ROC. And no, not that Dwayne guy. I'm talking about the ROC, as originally shown in the Monster Manual for use with Basic Dungeons & Dragons and Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, or what we typically call 1E today. So the ROC. What? Giant bird, right? Can you imagine an omelet from that sucker? Now, these are very large birds, and you only run into them in ones and twos. You might find a mated pair, but generally you will find them by themselves. And they're big birds, so they're very hungry, and they eat lots. They have to, because they have 18 hit dice. Yeah, 18 hit dice. Well, when you have a 60-foot wingspan, which is what, that's just a little under 20 meters. Yeah, okay. You can carry away elephants. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Now, it's just an animal, so it's completely neutral, animal intelligence, nothing on that side whatsoever. Its attack, if it's the 2 claws, it can do 3 to 18. And if it's carrying something, it can continue to do that every round it's carrying it, if it's struggling. If it attacks with its beak, well, that's 3 to 24, which is a pretty healthy amount. Like I said, this is a big bird. Now, one of the things that ROCs are used for, sometimes they're tamed by giants, specifically storm giants, and they'll use them as a steed. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty tough giant right there. If you're able to fly one of these things, I mean, just think of how that looks in the sky. Wow. Now, ROCs, once again, they're not really intelligent, just animal intelligence. So they eat and they find things and they eat them, and when they find stuff, they carry it back to their nest. If they carry it back to their nest, then you're kind of stuck with going to the nest if you want to find any treasure. It happens. And yes, in the nest were the leftover bits and pieces from the things they've eaten, including like people and sometimes dwarves. It happens. Then you have a chance to do some nice looting. But you got to get to the nest, and you've got to avoid the ROC. Now, on the ground, they're nothing to worry about. They only move at about a quarter the rate that a human could move. Mind you, they just have to kind of like fall over on you, and that would be bad right there. But they can't move very fast that way. Now, in the air, this giant bird moves over 300 feet around, which is a lot. It's one of the most that you'll see in the books. Pretty nasty creature. Now, because of where they hang out, like the tops of mountain peaks and desolate wastelands, they don't exactly hang out close to civilization. They tend to go down and like steal from farmers and stuff like this. Not much you can do about it. Most dragons don't want to piss off a ROC. They're going to stay a fair bit away from civilization in most cases. So, as dwarves, yeah, we do run into them occasionally. And if we do and they spot us before we can get undercover, well, it has a bad ending. We don't like ROCs. We generally don't find their nests to be really worthwhile pilfering. If we have the opportunity to get rid of one, we will, as long as it doesn't piss off any of the giant neighbors. I don't want a storm giant coming down and throwing lightning bolts at us because we killed one of his pets. That would be bad. Well, for us. So, of course, we really don't run into them that often. But ROCs in adventuring, that's a different deal. And they show up fairly frequently. So we went out, of course, to the greater Hornhelm community and said, hey, what about the ROC? How do you judge that as a creature for an encounter? The DMs came back and said, hey, we think this is a solid 5.5 to 6. I said, whoa, wait a minute. 5.5 to 6, it has 18 hit dice. I said, yeah, but it doesn't have any special resistance magic. Of course, you can hit it from a distance. It's not like it's a finesse killer. If you can get under somewhere, it's not as able to dig you out as like a giant or something like that. Um, we found that our adventuring parties were able to handle rocks without losing too many of the party members. Oh, okay. Okay. I would have probably given it a 6.5 or 7 myself, but hey, okay. In talking to the players out there, they were a little bit more respectful. They gave this a solid 7 to 7.5, and they said, really, if we can't get undercover, we're toast. It's very hard to get away from a rock once it's actually snatched you up. And from their perspective, there's not exactly any room for finesse. What they want to do is eat you. If they can pop you into your mouth and swallow you whole, they'll do that. I mean, you do have to be careful in an encounter with a rock, and I understand the player's view on that side. They can be very dangerous. What I was surprised about was the number of times that players had actually run into rocks. It seemed to be a more common encounter than I had expected. Good for you, DMs. It's a fun creature to use in an encounter. A great thing to run across that's a little bit different when you're going through a desolate mountain wilderness. Highly recommended. No two ways about it. So that, my friends, is the Rock. And once again, not that wrestling guy. We hope you enjoyed today's presentation. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. And share with your friends. Leave us a comment. Come back and see us again real soon. We very much appreciate your kind support. Take care, everyone, and remember, dwarves rock!